Good evening, friends. Your host Amit Singh Atwal, live from Rayat and Bahra University Mohali campus. Welcome to my viewers, my colleagues, students of the university, and the guest, and also welcome my speaker. Today we are on a webinar, an interesting topic after this COVID pandemic, and we all are thinking of this, the future workplace in India. To discuss and to share his views with me today, Mr. S.N. Rao, Head Campus Sourcing, British Telecom, India. He has a rich experience of 17 years in HR recruitments. He had served many MNCs, India's top IT companies. He served like Wipro, TCS. He served East and North India head for Wipro's technologies for a long time. I think at that moment only I met Mr. S.N. Rao. Welcome, S.N. Rao ji. Few things before starting, I want to share about him. He enjoys playing sports, shaping the lives of young generation. That is most important. Parallelly, he is on the advisory board of many renowned universities in India. In addition, he also served in the board of Sarasta, an organization which works towards the rehabilitation of children of sexually exploited children. He is a good orator, a good speaker, a motivational speaker. Welcome, SN Raoji.
Thank you, Amit. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and I'm hoping that we'll have a wonderful time together here. Thanks, Amit.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sir, your topic is really interesting about the future workplace in India. I just need a one-line brief before handing over this entire webinar to you, sir.
Yeah, the topic is absolutely intriguing. The future workplace. The question that poses before us is who knows what is the future looking to be like. So the key here, what I feel, and that's what I'm going to be looking at, is how do we deal with ambiguity? How do we navigate ourselves to this? So if you look through right now, it's a very difficult scenario, but like they say, there's always a morning right after the night.
Okay, from this point, I hand over entire webinar to SN Raoji. SN sir, for you.
Thank you, Amit. One more time, it's my joy and privilege to be here this afternoon. To everybody that's listening to me live at this point in time, I want to thank you for taking the opportunity and the time and that you have come here. Let me tell you that all of us are facing very difficult and unprecedented times in our lives. What we're going to be looking at today is what's the future of workplace in India? How are we going to manage walking through the ambiguity? And one of the key skills that we always have is to understand through ambiguity, through this whole thing about not knowing what we are to expect in times to come, arises something that's always wonderful. Like they say, har raat ke baad ek subah hoti hai. So when we look at this entire aspect, I think personally, and this is my views personally, there are a lot of things that we can look at. What does the if the, and the best part is that there is no prescribed manual that is written so far. Nobody can predict what the world is going to be looking like once we are through with the so-called monster called COVID at this point in time. And so when we come to a platform like this, it is important for us to have our thoughts absolutely geared towards something which is very meaningful, something that's going to help each other. And like I rightly said, we are facing the greatest disruption of our lifetime. The world has never seen anything like this. All right. And the past few months have really challenged all of our assumptions. And for the work, is the business models, the workflows, the technology, but most importantly, the people. And therefore, it poses a question in front of us. It says the future scenarios and the projected health and the economic impacts that are changing drastically on a daily basis that you and I can see today. are leading the organizations to scramble and pull together the best that they can put together. And when we talk about people, let me tell you one thing for sure, that people are unique. No two people are similar, and therefore there are no two problems that are similar. What we are doing as an organization today is that, and all the organizations predominantly are, they are scrambling to pull together the best people as guides to find out the way of where this current chaos is going to lead us. Now, when you look at that, it tells us two things: that the entire human resources part is now becoming more as human relations. Let me repeat that. Human resources is now becoming human relations, because if you cannot understand, empathize and sympathize with a person who's been your colleague, who's going through a rough time, then let me tell you, you cannot build your organization. But having said that, the leadership per se and all the functions of the leadership are under extreme pressure, not only to develop leaders within the organization this time who's going to lead us through this crisis situation, but also we have to respond proactively to the new challenges that we are facing. Every day there is a constant new challenge. Let me give you an example. The role that I am in today, my role is managing people. However, at my level, I have seen it's not about just managing people, it's about managing the well being of each and every team member. And my team members, my colleagues, people that I work with, my team, I know one thing for sure, that all of us think alike. We care for each other. Now, because of the disruption, here is an opportunity that we have to reset the way leadership development and the function of the leadership development is viewed in a very different way. The lenses must change. The lenses must change without any biases and prejudices. Why? Because, like I said, every life matters. And we've seen those campaigns recently, a lot of what's happening across the world. Black Lives Matter, and then there's Every Life Matters. And true, every life matters. When you talk about leadership, when you talk about the workplace really that is led, there are a lot of myths and a lot of urban legends, as they say. And they say that sometimes we people, Indian, Asians, we're not ready to handle global leadership crisis. We are okay when it comes about attending classroom based programs, and that will make us better leaders, really. They'll help us to become people that are skilled, in the line of work that we do. But what's more important is how impactful is your role. How impactful is it really when you face development such as this face to face every day? So if organizations hold on to these relics, they will struggle to develop what you call as a human relations and not just a human resource. It's quite fast paced. It's absolutely new. It's completely at this point in time. I would say not even gray area. Nobody knows. There is no manual. There is no prescribed how to do kind of step by step manual that tells you how you're supposed to fight this moment of uncertainty. So what do we do? So much so, it's a fact that even once we are done with this, and you that are students that are listening to me today, there might be a lot of questions that are in your mind to save the time I go into the world. What is my world going to be like? What is it going to be looking like? Am I as an individual, am I going to be respected? Am I as a person, when I go out with my skills and whatever, degrees that I make, and degrees, don't get me wrong, degrees are very important, but let me tell you, degrees alone will not take you to where you want to go. And so the question that stands before us as always is, what is the future of the workplace in India? Let me tell you a couple of things. When we look at the future of workplace in India, we are all going through a lot of ambiguity. So then how do we handle this? I want to talk to you a couple of things that I see today which are very, very important for us as we move ahead to understand how we are to handle this current scenario and to ensure that we together make an impact, not just for us today, people like us today, but also in the generations that are coming. So when I looked at this really, and I looked at what are the myths that we have debunked, what are some of the things that we'll have to rid ourselves from, I found a few things. And before I tell you that there are two parts to what I'm going to say, I'm going to talk about basically tell you how you are supposed to be looking at in terms of how you're going to be ready, what's the next world going to be looking like once the COVID is over. And I want to tell you that through this COVID, what is it that you are to do that'll keep you going and come make you alive and make you somebody who's ready for the future workplace. That's how I'm going to divide what I have to share with you. The first thing, when I went and I did a little bit of looking back, soul searching, as you take to understand what are we going to do really, there are a few things that I think, and for you that are on the college, and I know that when the campus season comes, everybody. And by the way, like Amit said, I come at least with 10 to 11 years of experience of handling campus folks across the length and breadth of the country. God's been good to me to allow that experience in my life. So here's what I think is going to happen. I see four top hiring trends that are emerging. And when I say hiring trends, that directly says the kind of people that we will need in the world that is coming. First thing that I see, as you know, that the traditional hiring formats have changed. Today, we all looking at the huge word called as everything is virtual today. you know I don't know if you realize or not, right now wherever you are, and I'm in my home, I'm right now in your into your home, into your room, wherever you are, and along with that everybody else is watching right now is where you are. That's the power of technology. Like they say, while the world is getting connected, the people are getting disconnected. So there are a lot of changes that we have to bring to connect the people back. And so, what are the few trends that we're looking at? There's a huge challenge. Everything is gone virtual. Virtual hiring is something which is, there are a lot of people selling solutions how you're supposed to be hiring, and definitely the usage of AI, artificial intelligence, and VR, reality technology is really increasing. Even at our organization in BT, we moved to virtual hiring a long time back, and it's been very effective. It's been really nice. And I think, what is it that we need to ensure that there is a holistic experience for every individual? There are a few things that I feel are very important. Is that how do we build our employee value proposition, which means bringing in the right culture, the right purpose, the flexibility to work remotely, and still taking center stage. There are a few things that I've spoken about as I've mentioned this to you. You see, today, the workplace is no longer contained by boundary. We are boundaryless. The boundaries have suddenly expanded. All right. What used to be normal is no longer normal. There's a new word called the new normal. But I'm still struggling to understand what is the new normal. What is the right definition of new normal? And so adaptability is so very, very important. When you go virtual, there are certain things which are very important. You have to understand the likes and dislikes of so many people. What is the culture? What kind of culture as an organization are you going to show to the person who is a prospective candidate for you? What is the kind of purpose that you give out to them, that you hand out to them? The flexibility to work remotely. Today, and I was talking to somebody else a couple of days back, and here's what I said: of my all these days, years of my experience, I could never honestly go to a meeting room and talk about what you did last night in terms of how you helped kitchen, cleaning the floors of the house, sweeping or swabbing or washing dishes, or doing things at home. Those were not what men like us in jackets and suits spoke about. But today, it's the new normal. On our calls, we talk about how we've helped people, what have we done differently. And I see on Facebook, oh my goodness, there are so many people, that men that proudly show off the kind of cakes that they have made, what they have baked over the weekend. That's a new normal. And in that way, really, it sets up the culture that we are about to see today in time to come. I don't know when we're going to go back to office. It's a long time. Some people say that we're going to peak in November. Some say that India is going to peak in the month of February. I haven't laid my hand on as yet on something that I can say, yeah, this is the right answer. But one thing I know for sure is it's going to be quite a while. So in that time, how do we hold on to each other while we have the flexibility to work remotely? How do we still bring in the same culture and the same purpose? That's an important question to think about. How do we bring in the same culture and the same purpose? One of the things that you have to understand really is when you talk about culture, is that in your organization, there are several people who come from various different backgrounds. How do you make all of them think alike? And I'm saying this keeping in mind that the future workplace, this is one of the skills which is absolutely important. How do you become inclusive? And inclusive, I just don't mean talking about the various things that we talk about, diversity and inclusion. That's separate. But I'm saying in nature, to your colleagues at work, that's very important. Bringing in diversity and inclusion in your workplace. I mean, I'm a champion. I believe that's a wonderful cause for all of us to champion, really. But having said that, the important thing, don't forget, is there are your colleagues, there are your people. How are you being able to manage them? How are you being able to tell them that you matter to me and I care about you? That's a very, very important question. The culture and the purpose. When you have several other people doing several things in their own locations, in their own home, sometimes, in an office, you have that time, 1 o'clock, let's go for lunch here. You don't do that. You're at your own. But how is it that you're able to bring that purpose across? One purpose, one vision, one goal. It's a huge demand, it's a huge task that for the leaders and the organizations, we have to undertake this and look at it from a very close perspective, because understand, this is your future workplace and this is what it demands. Third, I think, is that the future workplace will demand that there is a diversity in skill sets and experiences, and we have to go beyond the traditional narrow requirements. Going by the JD, should have this skill. And I always tell the college students, always, and I share this with you that are probably in your final year and you want to go ahead. I've always been talking about this. What is it that makes you different from your other colleague in your class? How are you different? All of you is going to have the same degree. You will pass out, and I hope that you are studying to do that. But then what is next? How do you move from there? What is it that's going to make you different? You know, looking things through the traditional lens is not going to help us. We have to change the traditional lens with a progressive lens now, to look at things not just now, but in the future course of time. And when you do that, and when you deal with that, when you bring in the diverse skill set, one of the most important things that you need to have is the word called as resilience. How strong are you? You will face ambiguous situations. You will face things that you don't know. How are you going to manage it? So I remember the old time, there was a boxer, and if you'd heard of this boxer called Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was once asked, when he was going to fight George Foreman, he was asked, tell me, Which is the punch that you fear the most? And here's what Muhammad Ali said. Muhammad Ali said, the punch that I don't see coming is the one that I fear the most. The one that I don't see coming is the one that I fear the most. My friends that are hearing me today, how resilient are you to face the situations that you are unaware of? The second thing that I think is very important, talking about diversity and skill set, is adaptability. How are you adapting to something new, something different? For a long, many years, I was used to waking up early on a Monday morning. No matter, the fact remains that all of us don't quite like Mondays. Anybody here who likes Mondays? Not many people for sure. But yes, when a Monday morning comes in, all of us disgruntlingly go. We get up, but that's the routine. When you sit in the car, when you drive off, and you go to your office, you go to your college, and you see your first friend, the first moment gives you a moment of just, hey, hi, lovely. But we've suddenly been robbed of that joy. We're at our homes. Not that our homes are bad place. Homes are good place to stay, by the way. All right, family is always a good set of people to stay around with. But we've been suddenly asked to adapt to something that we've never done in our life. We've never done it in our life. Adaptability. How do you adapt? How do you make yourself adaptable to something that you've not done? That's a huge ask. But somehow we have been doing it. I never thought in my entire life that I'm going to do a webinar sitting in from one of the rooms in my home. I never thought that I'm going to do it. But this is a new norm, and this is how adaptability is all about. The third thing that I think is very important is the ability to manage ambiguity. And like I said, to do something that you don't know. It's ambiguous in nature. You've not gone there, you've not done it. And that can only happen when you have a risk taking appetite. Now, risk taking appetite doesn't mean that I behave foolishly. Even when you take risk, take calculated risk. Know that if I go from here, point A to point B, these are the possible things that can happen. But if this happens, this is what I need to do. And you know, when I was looking at this, I must tell you this very interesting thing. That when you talk about dealing with ambiguity or the ability to manage ambiguity, one of the things that you need to have is you need to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, if you don't trust yourself, if you don't relish your own self, you will never be in a position to take the risk. You will always fear, you will always think, is this what I'm doing is the right thing? And the fourth thing that I think is agility. Agility. We don't, so there was a time that I would always say, even to my team, I keep telling them that the way we've evolved, the way the business is evolving is there was a time when we had a lot of time to commit mistakes. The trial and error method. Okay. In recruitment, if you don't find the right person, you say, okay, this guy is a 60-70% fit. Let me give this guy, see what the hiring manager has to say. Let's look at what the panel say. Perhaps he's okay. Maybe they'll compromise. Oh, no, 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 no. The demands have changed completely. The landscape of demands have changed. The landscape of businesses has changed. All of that has changed. And therefore, people who were, now, if I may say, you're now like a sharpshooter. Every bullet counts. And therefore, every effort counts. Every opportunity counts. How are you managing the opportunity that you get? And let me tell you, another big key to all of this is definitely going to be soft skills. See, today, if you see, you are in wherever you are, I am wherever what I am. And we're doing this webinar. And if I'm not able to make sense to you, if I'm not being able to reach across to you, then I'm a failure. But to be a success, I need to be able to put my thoughts across. I need to be able to communicate in a way where I'm able to reach to you and to your understanding. I need to match your expectations. I need to match what your understanding is. Soft skills: resilience, adaptability, ability to manage ambiguity, agility, soft skills. I want to ask you today, what are you doing to enhance these? There's one more thing that I want to put across. I remember I was talking to you about four pillars. Really, first I spoke to you about the whole about how traditionally we moved into different formats now. Virtually, we are doing things. The first thing I spoke about AI, VR. Quick recap. Two, I spoke about how are we able to redefine our purpose, our culture, our flexibility, and ability to work remotely and yet taking center stage. The third thing I spoke about, four key skills, which I think are resilience, adaptability, ability to manage ambiguity, agility, and soft skills. And fourth, that I'm going to talk about is there are a lot of capabilities that are required in the new workplace. That's going to be the future of the workplace. The four capabilities I'm looking at is like digital. Everything is digital now. With digital comes cybersecurity. The moment you say cybersecurity and you say digital and you say virtual, data analytics, these are a few skills and capabilities that I think is going to be is will rule the future workplace. Let me give you an example as to why data is so important. Now, most of us, when we go to a place, when we go to a new place or we're going to a birthday party or whatever, what do? We take out our cameras like this, right? And what do? We pose, we pout, and then we post. Pose, pout, and post. But do you know after that what happens? You are making the world know where you are. And imagine the amount of data over a period of time. There are a lot of companies that are tracking you as you go. They are building what we call as a digital footprint. And every footprint gets converted into data. And every set of data that is accumulated over a period of time is analyzed. And out of the analysis of the data of your behavior, of the restaurants you go to, of the places you travel, of the kind of people that you are with, the kind of destinations that you go to, you will see basis that assumptions are made or analysis is created about you as an individual to see who are you. That's what it does. And so increasingly, when everything else goes based on virtually, all of our activities go virtual, can you for a moment imagine the amount of data that's out there to be analyzed? So we need a lot of people who are interested in building their key skills into analyzing data. So I've spoken about few pillars that I think is what is required in the future of the workplace. I also will not be, I think it's not going to be right if I don't talk to you a little bit about what are you supposed to be doing to ensure that as you pass through this phase and get ready for the future workplace, and I've already shared with you what is it that is required in the time to come and how you are supposed to keep updating yourself, keep building yourself. I also want to talk about five pillars that I feel are the key pillars to the well-being of you as an individual. One of the key things for you to sail through this COVID is your mental and physical well-being. So allow me to talk to you very quickly about what are the five pillars that you think which I believe if you do on a day-to-day basis as an individual, it will improve your mental health and well-being and will build your resilience. Remember I spoke to you about resilience. The first pillar I want to say is it's called connections or connect. How are you connecting with people? How are you connected as a network? They say one of the key things that you must always remember is connections, or when you build that connections, it is like you need to see it as investing in a relationship. See your connections or your relations as a healthy bank balance, and build up so much that in the time of trouble you're able to fish out. It's an ideal scenario for you to credit yourself from the ones that you care about, and so when the time comes you are able to make the sufficient withdrawals from that bank account which you've invested in that word called relationships. So connect with people around you, connect with the family, with friends, with colleagues, or with your neighbors. Connect connect with people not only that are within your reach, but try and reach out to people that are above your reach. The second pillar is about being active. One of the things that I see, that being at home, all of us are, and I see to some degree we become very lazy. if you are if you're not in a very good mood, go for a walk. It doesn't harm you, but yeah, put your masks on for sure. Why is it important for you to stay active? It is important for you to stay active because a healthy mind gives way to a healthy body, and a healthy body gives way or paves the way for a healthy mind. So whatever little exercise that you can do, go ahead, and I think YouTube is flooded with how you can keep yourself absolutely ready and agile. Second thing is be active. Dance, you know, do some yoga, walk around, talk, meet people, avoid handshakes for definitely. The third thing I want to talk to you about take notice. Taking notice. Are you, as an individual, whose mind is geared towards taking notice? The other word for taking notice would be mindful. Are you mindful of the things around you? Are you somebody who takes time to look what's around you? Sometimes we get into this whole urgency of just answering a call. Sometimes let it ring. It doesn't harm. Let it ring. Take a breath. Breathe really well. Pick up. If you're cooking, if you're making your tea and you're boiling the kettle on, or the water on the kettle, breathe. Take it easy. Take notice. Be mindful. Be curious. There's a lot of beauty around us. Get hold of that beauty. And the best way to do is, one of the good things that God has given us is these eyes. And eyes work better than a lot of cameras. The picture that the eye clicks and submits to the memory stays far longer and beyond any picture can stay. Take notice. Be mindful. And then after that, I want to talk to you about keep learning. Now, I told you about some of the skills which are very, very important. Keep learning. Now, when you say learning, let me tell you this very important thing that I must share with you is, when you talk about come to the point of keep on learning. Somebody said like this: never let formal education get in the way of your learning. Mark Twain says that. Mark was a beautiful author. And here's what he said: never let your formal education get in the way of your learning. Why is it important to keep on learning? If the world is evolving, if the future workplace is evolving at such a fast pace, how are you evolving? If you don't match step to step with the rapid movements and the changes, believe you me, you're going to be taking a step back. There is a numerous benefits to keep on learning. There is something called as the brain muscle. Exercise that. Keep that exercising. Learning increases the volumes of the brain. It fights boredom. Learning increases speed, improves your creativity, your memory, and so much more. Keep learning. Try something new. Rediscover an old interest. Sign up for something that you've never done before, even if it's for 3, 4, 5 months. I don't know, but do it, learn it. Don't shy away from learning something new. Be curious. Make your mind a lifelong learning platform. Keep on learning. And then, lastly, very, very important in these days, give. Give. You know, the word give has so many meanings in today's time and age. I'm going to ask you, have you done something new for your friend, your neighbor, maybe a stranger? You know, a lot of times we keep doing good, and sometimes we get weary of doing good. We get tired of doing good. And somebody said that there's a no act of kindness, however small it is ever wasted. No act of kindness, no matter how small it is ever wasted. Aesop said that. Every day build in a behavior of of doing something, of being kind to somebody. Maybe a kind word, a kind gesture, a kind behavior. Because let me tell you, especially as we are cordoned off today, we live in a separate ways, all of us together. Remember one thing for sure, it's the kindness that will help you redefine human relations. Never has been human relation tested so much like it has been today. Check out on your friends. You have your phone number. There was a time when we used to pick up the phone and you say anybody, we will just dial the number like this on the dial pad, we would call. Today, I want to ask you, how many of your friends' numbers do you know without looking at the phone? How many? There is so much that you can do. And when you inculcate this behavior into yourself, when you bring this behavior into yourself, I can tell you one thing for sure, that you will be making a difference. You will go far beyond your degree. Your degree will have one skill, it's your learning, but these learnings that you will have will take you far beyond what you and I can ever imagine. I want to close with a small illustration. uh, there was a bird by the name of Chirpy. Chirpy, as you know, means very being very gleeful, very happy. And so Chirpy the bird would always sing around, and Chirpy by the way was a parrot, and he would always sing in front of his master. One day, Chirpy's master was using the vacuum cleaner, and suddenly, what he does is he's cleaning, and suddenly the phone rings. And by the time he wants to pick up the phone to say hello, by that time the vacuum cleaner in his hand goes to a Chucky, and Chucky is suddenly sucked inside, and and he realizes, oh my God, Chucky is sucked in. So he suddenly puts the phone down, and he takes Chucky out of the vacuum cleaner bag full of dust, and Chucky is coughing, struggling to even breathe. And so the good master that he is suddenly realizes, oh my God, this is Chucky. And so what he does is he takes Chucky, quickly runs in to the bathroom and opens the tap and lets the water fall on Chucky. And the water was cold, and Chucky was shivering, almost going to die. Realizing that Chucky is almost there, oh my goodness, he's going to die of cold. This is really sad. What's going to happen? He quickly rushes again to the bathroom, takes up the hot air gun that he used to put, to dry our hair, the hair dryer, takes it, points it at Chucky, and goes at much. And by this time, if you've guessed by now, Chucky's feathers are all ruffled, and Chucky has lost a song, and Chucky has lost his feathers. Chucky has lost his beauty. That's how life is sometimes. You are sucked in, blown apart, and washed out. Sucked in, blown apart, and washed out. But the only thing that will take you through is you knowing yourself and being absolutely resilient as an individual, and fighting the good fight, and ensuring that you go beyond the call of your duty, and ensure that you make yourself an individual that makes a difference, because the world that you are stepping into, the workplace that you're looking into in the future, is a place that needs people who will stand for each other and who will show to people that, yes, I care about you. Skills, all this is important. Capabilities are important. But the world is looking right now, the kind of place that we're going to step into is when we embrace humanity one more time. So, on that note, whether you are sucked in, blown apart, or washed out, remember, never, 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 never give up. I thank you for this opportunity. Radbara University, Amit, thank you so very much. I turn this over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a very, what can I say? No words to say because suck in, blow up, and wash out. It's really good, sir. The way you ended the entire webinar, I really admire it. The way you say suck in, blow up, and wash out. Really good, sir. Essence, sir, really good. I'm audible.
You are. Thank you. You are.
And before going towards, and I will just summarize few words and not summarize each and everything of Essence, sir. But he started with human resource and human relations, leadership development of an organization where we have to develop leaders also. Then every life matters at the workplace. Sir, on this part, I have a question from you, from my end only, not from the viewers. You said every life matters at the workplace.
Yeah.
How you see the changes in the past, before COVID and after COVID? Because it's come
Oh,
all the pandemic. After this pandemic, I think everything is changed in our lives, our working style, as you shared, the
mhm,
online processes. Before you only shared ki you used to do a one-to-one webinars in the different places, HR conclaves. Now you are doing
mhm.
a webinar online, on air.
That's right. That's right. So,
Now how you
I mean,
feel? Yeah, sir.
every life matters is something that we knew, but to a large extent, we never practiced it. Humanity is such that we have to face some calamity in our lives for our eyes to open up and to relook what we know. And I call this back to basics. If you look down the barrels of history, you will see one thing for sure. Time and again, there has been revolutions. People have come up and said that every life matters. But when we get so lost in I, me, myself, that we lose the very importance of this great thing. So I think this is COVID is an opportunity that has brought all of us back to say that, hey, शांत हो जाइए थोड़ा सा ठहर जाइए धीमे हो जाइए huh? Come back, step back, take a look back and see that every life matters. So, and it's just not a statement. I think each of us have to live that. That's when the real difference will come.
Sir, one question comes from the Facebook from my student. He is talking. He just want to know. You said about the progressive lens in life. One should have a progressive lens. He want to know ki how a student, because he is going to be pass out this year only, and how a fresher can use this progressive lens for creating his own world and the productivity in the workplace.
Okay, wonderful. Good question, young man, whoever you are. Let me tell you this. Um, any fish can swim along the tide. It takes a fish with a backbone to swim against the tide. If you study the life of a fish called salmon, you will see there are a lot of business cases that are there. There are a lot of researchers that are on that because that's the only fish that swims against the tide. My question is, when you pass out, I want you to visualize like this your life. You are one fish, and pardon me if you're a vegetarian, whatever you want to visualize, you'd go ahead and visualize. But think about this. You are one among the many people that are passing out and will be coming out of the portals of your college. When I say progressive means, think not just for that one campus interview that you want to clear. Think about, where do I want to go after I step out of my college? What kind of a job do I want to take? What is my dream job? And I know that we fought so much for dream company, day one, day zero. Put all that aside. Become selfish about your life and ask, what is it that I want to achieve out of my life? Then make small steps to achieve it. Go ahead, pursue that. So, for example, you may be studying BTech today, but if you want to be somebody who works in the line of telecom, what stops you from learning a little bit about Cisco? What stops you to get some kind of a certification while you're still at college? Because that's progressive thinking, saying that BTech I will clear, but I want to be a step ahead. I want to think at least a year ahead, 2 years ahead. Little drops make a mighty ocean. Thank you.
Thanks. I think he had received his answer. One question comes from my Bahra University campus. The HOD of HM, Mr. Vikesh, is asking, sir, you are talking about adaptability. How you see the adaptability of freshers after post-COVID in hotel industry?
Sorry, which industry did you say?
Hotel industry,
Which
because
industry?
he is the HOD, hotel
Hotel
industry,
industry.
tourism.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Well, I wish there was some kind of a manual that talks about how to fight COVID. Unfortunately, the world has not seen this. And if you're expecting me, sir, with due respect, to dish you out an answer to say, this is one, two, three, four, what the hotels must do to survive, I'm sorry, I have to disappoint you. I don't have it. But one thing is for sure that all of us, regardless of whichever industry you are from, we are redefining the workplace. So for the hotel industry, if you have to do something which is, and they're doing it, whoever thought that JW Marriott will be sending food at your place? They never did that. You were expected to go to the restaurant to eat. So they're redefining the way they work. And I think for the hotel industry to survive, the one thing which is very important is they have massively to relook the way they do things for sure. And that's true with any industry for sure. I know that I have personal friends in the hotel industry who've really been through a lot, and it's a very sad thing for them to see it. But I also know one thing for sure, that for a tree to grow, if I use an analogy, for a tree to grow, the soil has to be right, the water has to be correct, the sunlight has to be correct. The gardener must spend time, and there is no reason why the tree will not grow. So when we do a little bit, little by little, doing the right decision, making the right choices, redefining our workplace, then there is no reason why the industry will not live again. Thank you.
So, sir, I can tell one thing, sincere. I live in Greater Noida, and nearest five-star property is Redison, and it's close to my heart also. I used to travel. After this lockdown one, I got a call from Mr. Niranjan Shai. He is a Chinese chef. He called me up, Amit ji, how are you? Mala good. Bole, everything is good. Bole, you are not coming to our hotel. No issues. Bole, sir, if you require any food, any liquor, I can say openly, anything from the hotel other than the stay, we can provide you at your home.
Yeah.
The way five-star property, I really got shocked. Well, Shahiji, really, is it true? Bolta, sir, this is our new policy. We can bring the food and everything to your home as per your requirements. This is really, after COVID, everything has changed. You are very true. So
True.
one question again from my colleague only. He's asking about you talked about risk taking at ability. How one can take a risk, because it's a post COVID, everything has changed, and you're talking about the calculative risk.
Yeah.
Finally, you are talking
How?
about the calculative risk.
Yes. So yeah, you
Kindly
like you rightly
explain.
said. Yeah.
Kindly
So
explain, sir.
Amit, yes. So I think when I say calculate, if I will give you an example, when I say calculated risk, I don't mean going by emotions. I mean harnessing your emotions. Just because I don't like something, maybe today, and I know that in some industries where there are 30% salary cut, 40% salary cuts, what do I do? Do I get angry and leave the job
No, sir.
without a job in my hand? But yes, I will probably put myself still there, and I will hold myself and I will say, okay, let me walk through this today. At least I have a job, and keep looking out. And when the right time comes, if everything meets together, I will move. That is ability as an individual to make a decision, calculate your risk, minimize your risk. If I let my emotions come in place, then I will say, oh, I worked for 7 years with you. You can't do this to me. I'm going to walk out. That's being foolish. But if you calculate your risk and say little by little, step one, I need to do this. Maybe my next job that I want to do, I don't have the certification. Can I use the 6 months to get my certification and then pick up the job and get going? It's not easy. Let me tell you, it's not easy. None of this is easy. Because we've never walked this road before, but none of this is impossible. It is achievable. It is doable. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Sir, I will take the last question from Dr. Simmer. She is talking. She want to know. You talk about the culture.
Yeah.
We have to bring back the our culture to our workplaces. And you talked about we have to take care. You talked about kindness also,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how we can do that, because now the culture is totally changed, because people are only I, me, and myself. They used to say I do not know how to work. She's asking how we can bring the changes and the culture change in the system.
Absolutely brilliant question, Dr. Sima, and I'm happy you've asked this question because this is very close to my heart. How can I bring this change? One good individual impacts one good family. One good family impacts one good surrounding. One good surrounding impacts one good community. One good community impacts one good, probably city, state, village. One good village impacts. You are smart enough. Do the math yourself to understand it all begins with me. I can't pass the act of kindness on somebody else's behalf. I need to do it myself. As far as, and I can tell you one thing for sure. For whoever has been kind, whoever, and I've seen it personally in my life. When I was a young man, there was somebody who was very, very kind to me, who took time to build my life. And today I am here, and my passion in life is to build young lives. The saga continues. What you receive, you must also pass on. But for you to receive, you need to have walked that road and follow that step. It's very easy. I'll be very honest. Usually, when we want to do something, we do it for somebody that we think he can do it back for me. But the challenge is when you do it for somebody that you think cannot do it back for you, that's the litmus test. And I was watching an episode of Satyameva Jayate. There was this, and I'll close with that quickly. There was one gentleman, a young boy. It's a true story in Nagpur, and I know because I lived in Nagpur while I worked with TCS. So I know this college, Hislop College. There was next to the Hislop College, there were these young men, absolutely notorious gang wars who used to play. So when they were playing football with tin. So the professor from inside, the sports teacher, sees them and says, "Why are you guys playing?" They said, "Come, come, come, go get a football and come. And if you play here, then I'm going to give you 100. Sorry, he said, I'll give you 50 rupees." So all the guys would play. After the game is over, he'll give them money, 50 rupees, and they're gone. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and now they're only coming for money. Take the money, go. Then suddenly one day he says, "I'm not going to give you the football." He says, "No, but we want to play. We enjoy playing." He said, "But I don't want to give." "No, no, please give us." "Okay, then I will not give you the money." He said, "Okay, then you take the football." So he gave them the football. They played the game. It happened one day. The second day, they said, "Arey yaar, maza aa raha tha. Thod paise chhod. Let's go and play the game. Let's enjoy." So they started playing. And they played, played, played to the point when this came, he started speaking to this guy. And let me tell you, to cut the long story short, this gentleman was featured on Satyameva Jayate because this young boy, because he came in contact with his professor, the professor taught him that living this kind of life. Because one day when they were playing, the the opposite gang came and chased them. He could not go to the police because the police is going to catch him because of all his crimes. He could not go back to where he was staying because this gang will come and hit him. So he had no place. That's when this professor told him, "Come with me to the police station. Go and go and surrender yourself." He surrendered. Today, that young boy, let me tell you, came back. He's not a young boy anymore. He's a grown-up man now. Went and and played football representing India for slum football in Brazil and played in the World Cup. Slum football. And so when this professor was asked, why did you do it? His answer was very simple. At least that 30 minutes, I prevented crime in the city. By pulling these guys together for 30
That's
minutes,
together.
I stopped crime in the city.
Crime.
See, one act of kindness, one seed that you sow, you never know how it will germinate. Do we have an immediate answer? No, but I'm
No.
sure sometimes we see the results, sometimes we will not see the results, but the results will come for sure.
Come for
Thank you.
sure. Okay. Thank you, sir. But there is a last question from my end. Being an again by heart, I am a placement guy only who take care of the placement of the university. This is the last question from my end. How you see the scenario after post COVID of freshers hiring in India?
Well, freshers hiring has not stopped. As I see, since I'm on the group of all our campus recruiters across India, I see that freshers recruiting has not stopped. There are a lot of companies already started off. It's a very painful exercise for us, managing that many students virtually, and then getting the hiring manager to do the interview, the documents going, the timing. It's very nightmarish for us. But do I see the future? One thing is for sure. If you're going to think that with my plain BTech degree or my plain MBA degree, I can just go get a job, I'm sorry. Those days are over. Those days are completely over. If in our case, if I tell you we need to hire somebody, we need to see that this guy is really interested in making his career. And if this is the career he wants to make, what is the investment he has done in his life? So, which is why I think continuous learning. Remember,
Learning.
I said about
Yes,
yes,
sir.
ability to manage. Keep on yourself. Inculcate that atmosphere of learning for your own self. So, fresher hiring is not going to stop. The demands are going to. It's already there, and
But
I
mode
see it
can be
happening.
changed. But mode can be changed.
Absolutely, that doesn't matter. Our method
It
will not
doesn't
change.
change.
Our method will not change. The hiring need will not change. And I'll tell you, it's a huge thing. Today we have forgotten about shaking our hands, right? We do
Yes,
this
sir.
now.
Yes, sir.
It's an adaptability. So we'll adapt to this new lifestyle of virtual hiring as well.
Thanks, Asan sir. Thanks, sir,
Welcome.
for coming to the with us at this chapter 5 of my season 2 of webinar. And I really appreciate my viewers also who keenly asked the questions. Also, I think they had seen entire your show. And thanks again, Asan sir, for coming with us. Thanks, sir. This is
Thank you,
Mr.
Amit.
S.N. Rao. Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is Mr. S.N. Rao, the head campus sourcing India from British Telecom, India. Guys, I think you had watched and seen what he talked about. He talked about relationship, leadership development. He talked about adaptability. He talked about risk management, the calculated risk for the freshers. He talked about support, kindness to your colleagues in new workspace. And the first and the foremost thing, learnability. You have to learn each and every day now. And from this, we end this chapter 5. On Monday at 4 p.m., we are coming up with the season 2, chapter 6, the career opportunities in the media and entertainment industry post COVID 19. Thanks, viewers. Stay tuned, stay safe. Thanks. Take care. Bye. Good evening.